Grainger. Talk shop for your shop. 1 million industrial grade products backed by 24/7 customer support. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
You got that. Yeah, you got that yummy, 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 yummy. Yeah, you got that yummy, 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 yummy.
Changing my mind like it's nothing. Stay with the nights, I'm not running. I don't recognize where we're going. As I fall under your spell, I hold on tight. Fade into lies, I've been dreaming. Awake when
So, the topics we will cover will be the NFL, will be what's going on in hockey, and what's going on in the NBA playoffs. Is anybody surprised at who is in the NBA finals? And is everybody excited for the NHL finals? I am, because of the fact that I believe I got at least one right on the NHL finals. I was wrong about Dallas, but I believe I did say that I believe that the Florida Panthers were going to end up being there. So I went 1-1. I believe my co-host Jay went 2-0, as he glowingly told me today. Speaking of, he had a birthday over the weekend, so happy birthday to him formally. And with that, we'll get started, and we'll start off in the NFL, because there's a lot of stuff that's been going on over the weekend. I don't know if anybody saw the video on Stephon Diggs. When I saw it, my immediate questions, I had immediate question, because it confused me that with Diggs getting hurt, what possible reason would Houston have, seeing that he did have some chemistry with the quarterback? Like, why would they part ways with him? Because other than Nico, he seemed to be he was definitely a good second target. And then that video pops up, so then that had me wondering, like, did Houston see some stuff that they were like, yeah, just nah, we're good. You got here, we're good. So in my mind, that'll always be a question. And then my other question, seeing that I'm a Pats fan, is what are the Pats going to do regarding it? I did hear a report where someone from the Pats was on a radio show, and he sounded like not only was he not too happy about it, but also he there might be a unexpected release in the works. So if they keep with the tradition of the way the Pats have always worked, you always give somebody a chance to bury themselves. What player that immediately comes to mind is John Jones's brother, Chandler.
It's like he ended up getting in trouble like 3 times before the Pats parted ways with him and sent him to Arizona. So, but I will be interested, especially seeing that this could hurt Drake May, and seeing that the Pats need to create a new start with them parting ways with their old coach and now bringing in Mike Vrabel. It's definitely not a good start to everything. Diggs showing up to OTAs. Hopefully they'll see what he can do, and hopefully they'll be able to work around this situation. But as always, you never can tell, So with that, I was just reading an article about Deion Sanders saying how hurt he was by the pre-draft commentary by people saying that Shador was unprepared and things of that sort. I felt like a lot of things went on. I don't like the narrative that only Deion is being blamed. Unfortunately for Deion, all he can do is have faith in his son, and that his son is going to put his best foot forward. That his son actually put his best foot forward the way he always knew him to do so. So, but then again, you weren't in the room, so it's like, are you sure that there's no possibility that he may have gone in there, and maybe the way he talked, even in him talking about he's going to come in and like change a culture. When I first heard him say that, when he still was at Colorado before he got drafted, I immediately started scratching my head because of the fact that, I know the world we live in, and at the end of the day, depending on your talent level will depend on whether or not how much pull you have. And while it is true, and I'm going to speak about this further later on tonight, or actually tomorrow when I get home, because I've been wanting to talk about this and I haven't had a chance to talk about it on the podcast. So I might do like give a quick take and on my perception of things, and I always try to be fair, because you got to have some faith and hope that, from Deion's perspective, and I know me as a father, whenever I deal with my kids, I always expect them to put their best foot forward according to what I showed them or how I told them that they should be. But there's also that element of kids want to do their own thing. So hopefully there's a little bit of Deion's right, but for the sake of the integrity of the NFL, as bad as it sounds, hopefully there's a little bit of, he didn't put his best foot forward. Because somebody first going anonymous and then going, hey, it was me, I was the one that said it, from Dabo, and as far as I knew, like he was either going to Cleveland or he was going to he's either going to Cleveland, the Giants, or Tennessee. And Tennessee had their eyes on Cam. So but yeah, so it's crazy how these things can play out. But on some cases, at the end of the day, you got to know you got to know your levels. I always tell my kids all the time, know what level you are truly on. Know your level of power. And there's sometimes in our forward thinking, we unfortunately think that because we're so good at something, we forget ultimately who has the most power in the situation. And I feel like that played a part in it too. and obviously the power was flexed. Was it fair? It depends on who you talk to. But are you going to let somebody come in your house and tell you for a fact why, while they're there, what you're going to do, what they're going to do in your house? And at the end of the day, the NFL protects the shield, whether it's Roger Goodell or whether it's the owners. And they've put themselves in a position where I feel like there's about to be a whole bunch of power plan, and ultimately a lot of players are going to lose, and it's going to look horrible. But I'll get more into that at a later time. With that, let's get ready to roll over to the NBA playoffs. My God. Okay, so my competitive side, I'm always telling y'all about my competitive side, right? How horrible it is, because I am like vicious. It's like the whole playoffs, even though I had my teams I was pulling for, I was getting mad at both teams. If I saw the Timberwolves weren't exactly the only team, I think I spent the least amount of time just shaking my head at was OKC. And that's just the fact that they're good in transition, they're good in half court transition, they're lengthy, they know how to use their length, which for the longest time, the reason why it's so awesome with them is because there's so many players that don't know how to use their length. Whether it's this person has longer arms than me. How can I play around it? Like some of the greats from yesteryear. I'll try to refrain from bringing up specific names, considering the new age that we're in. Actually, you know what? No, I'm not. So when you had like people like Spud Webb was about my height, 5'6". So he was always dealing with lengthy people, especially when he tried to go to the rim. And he had to figure out, obviously from a young age, like how to get around that. Same thing with Iverson. Iverson had to figure out like the best ways to get around people. Part of it is mental. A huge part of it is mental. The other part of it is just using your athleticism and like outwitting your opponent. That's why eventually, people like Jordan, when he had to work on his jumper, he worked on his jumper not only to perfect his jumper to where he could make the shot, but also he perfected this thing. I called it the stop and pop. Back in the day, they called it the stop and pop. You run it down. They think you going to the rim, and then you just stop. You just freeze out of nowhere, jump up in the air, and even if they were on it and they jumped with you, Jordan had this amazing thing where he was able to hang in the air, and he wouldn't shoot the ball until you were coming down. And I am proud to say that I also annoyed people because I figured out a way to also perfect this shot. Now there was some taller dudes that understood, like, don't try to jump at me for the ball, just jump up straight up in the air. And it was also about timing though, because I did get some shots up over him. But yeah, I like OKC because they know who they are and they stick with it. They don't let you take them out of their game. And this is basically my prediction for the series. I'm going to go with OKC. I would love to see Indiana win it, but my problem with Indiana is specifically Halliburton disappears. and you cannot disappear. We saw that with the OKC Minnesota series. You cannot disappear at all. You must come, you must know who you are. You must not let their defense, once they see that they have a way of playing that can stop you, you're cooked. You are absolutely cooked. And they got some defensive like gurus over there that know how to use their length. They're very tenacious. They're smart about not reaching in. And this whole thing about Shea being a merchant, you know what he is? He's like Jordan. He's a Grammy award winning foul getter. And here's what I mean by that. So Jordan used to have this thing, and I noticed it as soon as I kept hearing on the shows, and some people were calling him a free throw merchant. And so I would watch his game. Stop reaching in on him. As soon as you reach in, he has it timed that as soon as you reach in, that's when he's going up for a shot. He may not even be exactly where he wants to be, just so he can get to the free throw line. He will literally, I don't know how to explain it, but I'm hoping that there's some people that watch the game and can see what I'm talking about. There's every time that he goes up for a shot and he gets the foul call, there's times where it seemed like he didn't want to hit a spot right there. But because you kept reaching in, he timed it just right. And as soon as you reached in that one time, he went, ugh. Now he throws this stupid thing with this throwing of the head and flailing of the arms. You don't need all that. Because another thing that I've seemed to notice when it comes to the one-sided what the appearance of the one-sided, one team's get more foul calls than the other. The most consistent team at going inside and going to the rim gets most of the foul calls. Although I have seen it like in the Detroit series, Indiana, I felt like even in Indiana that last game, it seemed like the refs was trying to help the Knicks stay in the game, because the same kind of bodying that seemed to be going on that would get Knicks to the line, it would happen down on the other end, and it was like the ref with the whistle was the only people that couldn't see it. And it's like and it's like you got to be fair, because these refs have I always say there's like 3 jobs that are like jobs that technically you should not want: referee of any sport, teacher, and a police officer. Because at the end of the day, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. And I'll save that take also for a potential future reel. Make sure you subscribe to my United World of Sports sports group, and so we can talk. But yeah, so I'm thinking it's going to be the way, unfortunately, the Pacers play, and they tend to disappear. And they tend to disappear. And God, they love shooting the 3. If you can keep them from getting inside, everybody will just post up on the perimeter. I hate watching it, because I know as soon as I see a bunch of people on the perimeter, whoever's got the ball is shooting the 3. You ain't got nobody down there to get a rebound, but you're going to shoot that 3. And I've never understood that, because I've never understood like how that can be a thing for the pros, right? So, but yeah, I'm thinking if the Pacers play OKC the way they played the Knicks, it's going to be over. It's going to be over in 5 at the most, because they cannot disappear. They are the Pacers are good also in transition, especially when they do proper spacing. Because that's another thing that people don't talk about with them. It's like they're good they're good in the fast break transition and they're good in the half court transition, but spacing is important. They had a lot of turnovers because their spacing wasn't right off the pick and rolls, and they were making ill-advised passes. And it's like, okay, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me every other time after once is like, dude, come on. You have to make your and I know it's not easy. I may not have played on that level, but I may not have played on their level, but I know that that's not easy, especially when you're used to getting those passes off, and then all of a sudden the spacing's not right, and you make a ill-advised pass, and it gets intercepted. I also don't understand the throwing across the court passes that everybody seems to do. I used to eat those for breakfast. I used to love when teams did that because I ate them for breakfast. It's like, ooh, more bacon and eggs, yay! And that was points for my team. So, but yeah, so I am interested in the series. I see stuff online where they're talking about this may kill the ratings because Steph and Durant and LeBron aren't in it. I'm a fan of basketball, and I'm a fan of good basketball. And kudos to Adam Silver for making the CBA the way he did, so that the coaches actually have to coach and rely on the players that they have. That was the other thing that killed the Knicks, not trusting your bench. So many teams got killed in the playoffs. I don't know if I'm the only person that's seen that. It's like, if you see you got players on the bench, if they did it one game, stick them in again. Stick them in again. Give them more opportunity. I feel like that's what hurt. I feel like that's what hurt Minnesota. I feel like that's definitely what hurt the Knicks. I feel like that's what hurt Jokic and the Nuggets. The Warriors, if Steph had still been in and they still lost, then I would have said it for them. One could question if that's what's hurting the Lakers. Everything ain't about get the star player. You got to depend on your role players. Every championship team had role players that contributed. So what? It was only 6, 8, or 4 points. That was 6, 8, or 4 points that other people on the team, the stars on the team, didn't have to worry about getting because those guys helped out. It's a team game, folks. Let's see it as that. I know it may not always be entertaining, and it may get a little minutiae, but the one thing that I could say was some of the best ball was not when teams went on runs, but it was like, oh, Jalen come down and hit a shot. Then Halliburton or Nembhard come down and hit a shot. Then Mikal Bridges hit a shot. Then Towns hit a shot. And then Siakam come down and Toppin come down and hit a shot. And it was like, holy crap, this is great. It kind of puts a glare on the defense, but depending on, if the person was being guarded when the shot was put up, which there was a lot of shots where that did happen, where the person was in their face and did have a hand up and the person just said, I don't care. And they made the shot. And the back and forth of it is more entertaining than when teams go on a run and the other team can't score, because 9 times out of 10, they seem to only know how to shoot a 3. Yeah, that's right. You're not here, Mr. J. So yeah, I'm going in on it. And I know that there was times where the threes helped the Pacers, but if you notice, it mostly helped the Pacers when they got good on going inside, whether it be jumpers or going to the rim, and they used the threes as a perk. There was a few times where I cussed them out for passing the ball and they just happened to hit the 3. I'm like, okay, I'll let that one slide. But when I sit up here and I watch you shot a total of 10 threes and you hit like 2 or 3 of them. Empty possessions equals 0 points, which means that you're giving the other team a chance to if you really pay attention, that's how the Knicks stayed in the game. And there was a game where the Knicks had the lead and Indy was bringing it down because they were going inside, but then they started shooting threes again and they were missing them. And I'm like, for Christ's sake, stop shooting threes. And it's like, my son yells at his video games. I yell at basketball and football when I'm watching it. Whether it's my team or not. I like to see people not shooting themselves in the foot, because a lot of the time teams will shoot themselves in the foot, and because the other team won, they'll get credit. Which, unless you're getting blocks and steals, if somebody is constantly shooting threes and they can't hit the broadside of a barn, I'll give you kudos for having the defense that made them think that they had to take that shot. But I'm mostly trashing them because it's like, dude, you can shoot more than threes. I think team-wise, they're equal in the fact that they have more than one weapon. Yeah, you may only say SGA. With OKC, you'll say SGA. You'll say Jalen Williams. You might even say Chet. But you also know that Caruso is a problem. And you know that they have people coming off the bench there that are a problem. For Indy, it's the same thing. They just got to work on their consistency, which is bad to say, well, I know you only have another 7 set of games, but y'all got to work on y'all consistency, bro. And so to me, that's the reason why I'm giving OKC the edge, because they know who they are. They always play expressing who they are. And kudos to SGA, because the one thing that got me hip to him was OKC would win a game and you don't very often see, the star of the team is in the interview. Oh, wait, he's got his teammates in there too. I like that because it's a team game. I know most don't care about it, and I think that's part of the problem. We should expect that everybody be held accountable. And I know from talking to some people while I'm doing my day job that there are people that think that should be an automatic, but these people are just as human as us. Just like we don't show up to work every day and we're not always at our best, these players are going through the same thing. And this notion that social media is making it, okay, then what about when there was no social media? Now, it wasn't as big, it wasn't as out there. So yeah, there's a degree of details being important, I grant you. But at the end of the day, they're not going through, it may be to a bigger degree, but at the end of the day, they're going through stuff that other people went through. There's always been fans that are critics. Always. And there will be fans that are critics, and their level of biasness in their criticism is gonna be there depending on who you talk to. But it's hard to put me in that bracket, because like a lot of people that I would always get fans of like Dallas Cowboys or Cincinnati Bengals. They get all excited when I say something about their team, and they go, well, who's your team? I'm like, the Patriots. They go, they suck. I'm like, wait, what? What? You said they suck. It's like, well, why would you say that? That's your team. Because I look at my team for what they, not only do I see their strengths, I see their flaws. and their flaws was the reason why, even though they dominated the regular season for 20 years, they didn't always make it to the Super Bowl as consistently as, say, a Kansas City. So, but with that, let's move on to the hockey league, which again, I'm learning that one. I'm learning that one, and but I have to say, I'm excited. I'm definitely excited. Loved what I watched, and people talk about they chippy in football and basketball. Boy, they are cheap. They are they are they are chippy and they're super petty. To sit up there and see a fight break out because the team lost, and it was like they choreographed it. As soon as everything hit all zeros, the fight started, and it's like, okay, I feel like some fines should come down on that one. That was a little too. That wasn't accidental. It was like they were skating near each other. Everything hit all zeros. Attack! I felt bad for this one. I was watching that happened in the Edmonton Dallas game, and I felt bad for this one dude because I wish I could remember the name that was on the back of his jersey. But anybody that watched it, I'm sure you remember this. It was like the player from the Edmonton Oilers like grabbed him and put him like face down in the ice. And it's like, and them referees, man, they're soldiers, bro, because they're always jumping in the middle of it. They are definite like true gun soldiers. It's like, to jump in there and be playing peacemaker while people are like and I will also give kudos to these hockey fighters, these hockey players also, because of the fact that the ref is right there and they know who they want to hit. And they don't hit the guy. I didn't see not one ref get hit on accident. I may have missed it. Let me know if I missed it in the comments. But it seemed like every fight I saw, it was like they were true with their target. It's like in the situation of drive-bys were in hockey, only the people that were meant to get hit would get hit. There would be no innocent bystanders, at least that I've seen in what I've been watching lately. Again, let me know in the comments if there's been any times in hockey history. Again, take some pity be easy on me. I'm a rookie. But yeah, I definitely liked what I saw out of all the teams, and I'm definitely excited to watch the Stanley Cup. I think, yeah, this will be my first time I'll be watching the Stanley Cup. And everything seems to be kind of leaning toward Florida, but just knowing the history of Edmonton, I'm kind of on the fence about picking Florida. So I think what I'll do, because I have time, I think I'll post in my group, again, United World of Sports. I'll post in my group what I think, like who I think will win. Matter of fact, I'll do one better. I'll post in the comments later. I'll do it before Thursday. That way nobody thinks I'm cheating. So and I think the funniest thing, just looking at like all the stats for NHL, is that most of the stats have either Edmonton or Florida as number one. Edmonton was number one in skating leaders in the goals per game. The Panthers were the leaders in goals against per game. and then Edmonton was fourth on the power play, and Florida was number 2. And then penalty minutes. Actually, watching the Florida games, I'm not shocked that they were leading in penalty minutes. And then in shutouts, the teams that made it to the Stanley Cup, they're both tied for number 1 with 3. So to sit there, because like I was looking at over in the NBA, none of the teams that are in it like point leaders. Cleveland was number 1 with the Pacers being 2, and you might as well say that they were tied for. Well, the Pacers beat the Thunder by like 0.3 points. They both the Pacers had 117.4, while OKC had like 117.1, and then that was in like points per game, and then points allowed. OKC was 4th. Field goal percentage, the Pacers were number 1. Oklahoma City was number 4. Oklahoma City was 4th in rebounds to the Rockets, Nuggets, and Cavaliers. Point differential, the Thunder is number 2. The Pacers were number 4. Blocks, the Pacers were tied for 4th. But it's just amazing that the differences in like who's number 1. Like in terms of like personal stats, Shea was number 3 with on the offensive leaders. Giannis and Luka were number 1 and 2, and for rebounds, no team that's in the championship is even on the list. It's Giannis, Jokic, Sengun, Towns, and Tatum. And then assists, Halliburton is number 1. It was Halliburton, Harden, Cunningham, Jokic, and Brunson. Chet. Oh, Miles Turner was number 2 in blocks, with Chet being number 4. And then nobody, in terms of like 3-pointers, nobody that's in the championship was on that list. And nobody in terms of steals, nobody in the championship was on that list either. So not as dominating on the NBA standpoint of things. So who do you guys got? What do you think? What do you think about my take on even if I agree that he's a merchant, but the fact that it's more talent, it's a talented detail that unfortunately plagues whoever's defending him. It's like, okay, you got to stop reaching in so much. I get you want to be aggressive, but if you know that every time you reach in, this guy is going to go for his shot, whether he's ready exactly to do it or not, and he's so good at getting the refs to go, oh, you altered his shot, so I gotta call his foul. And he's always he stays aggressive more often than not. He knows between him and his teammates They know how to clear out, where to clear out so that he can get his shot, his jumper that he wants. So it's definitely a full team effort, which is good, because as much as you want to key in on him, you can't key in on him because you got so many others that not only are good at helping each other get spacing for the shot that they want, but they also know how to move around in transition and be in the right place at the right time to get a shot and limit their empty possessions. You got to limit your empty possessions and shooting threes all the time. You can't limit your possessions because while 3 is more than 2, you're going to hit more 2s than you are of 3s. So common sense says hit the one that you can get the most of. The Pacers inside the 3-point line, they're 52%. Which I loved hearing that stat because it showed me that what I was watching, that I knew what I was watching. I was always screaming, go inside, go to the rim. But with that, we're going to end it with baseball. With all the other leagues basically in championship mode, eventually I will be able to focus fully more on baseball. But one game I definitely want to talk about is the shellacking that the Dodgers got put on them Saturday. I kind of forgot the game was on, so when I turned it on, it was in the second inning, and they were already down 10-0. I'm like, oh, so it's going to be that kind of game. Okay, got it. So I kept watching, and the more I get to watch games, the more I realize how important pitching is. And basically the fundamentals, just like in any other sport, just the fundamentals of everything you do. And I know the word fundamentals. You say the word fundamentals and you think boring. But the problem with that is most of the best players, they're good at the fundamentals. The people that are considered stars are best at the fundamentals. Simple as that. People want to talk SGA. Watch SGA. Watch what he does. He's good at the fundamentals. It's a fact. Obviously, I'm doing more studying, more watching certain things. It's crazy that the only 2 points that the Yankees got were both from Aaron Judge hitting home runs. Other than that, they didn't. They just it was bad. But just looking at the standings and everything, to try to get an idea, I analyze stuff a lot. So when I'm looking at the standings so I can try to get an idea of who's doing what, obviously, but also just the overall league, and just see like how one-sided it might be. And I know when I looked last week, I believe it was the American Central that seemed to have like a stranglehold on everything. And let me go back and look and verify that really quick. There it is. Yeah, because in terms of like the most teams with winning records in their division, it was I believe it was the Central. Yeah, it was the Central. Kansas City and the Twins got to stop losing, or else that won't be a fact anymore. So, but yeah, it's interesting to watch dominance and to watch dominance and just see how important the pitchers are. And to some of the games that I've been watching, I tend to wonder, like, how is it that in terms of consistency, people can like so consistently misjudge like where a ball's going to be, when to like jump out for it, and when to keep running for it and try to run under it. Obviously, it's not easy. I have played baseball, not on the MLB level, I know, but I've played baseball. And like some of the stuff that I watched, like last year's World Series, I cannot believe, just playing like in the neighborhood that I was in, if you decided to be the pitcher and that ball went down the first base line, you run to the bag even if you know the first baseman has it. And I felt like as soon as Aaron Judge missed that catch, everything fell apart in that game 5 after that. That should have at least went 6. And it's crazy to